What's up, ladies and gents? So today we're starting a new chapter, a new thing, a new fun idea. We're still kind of working the kinks out. I'm definitely not in love with this camera angle, but we will figure it out. So for the introduction, as far as what the hell's going on here, what the name is, what we are here to do other than fuck shit up and go home, I'm going to throw it over to the co-host with the mo-host. That would be Mr. Stephen Garlington.
So what am I doing? Just giving a basic introduction?
Yeah, something like that.
All right. What's going on, guys? So essentially what we're going to be doing is talking about movies. Everything from new releases to movies that have possibly maybe gone under your radar you didn't know about, but they're kind of like hidden gems, you know? So the movie we're going to be talking about tonight is called Collateral, and it's definitely falls in that latter category of a movie that most people probably haven't heard of, but it's pretty freaking awesome.
I would say, we'll get into that. We'll get into that because Stephen and I have, I wouldn't say it's wildly differing opinions, but we have a couple of little disagreements to work on with this one. So
basically, you're wrong.
Yeah, well, here. Okay, so for this camera is really pissing me off. So for future reference, we're gonna go by this scale. Bam, right there. I know you couldn't read that because my handwriting is that of a third grader. So we're gonna do this 1 to 5 stars, bars, planes, trains, automobiles, whatever you want to call them. So 1 being trash, 2 meaning it's okay for free. So if it's if you've got it on Crackle or any of the free streaming services, it may be okay to watch there, but definitely not spending money on. Number 3 would be worth renting. So if you got it on Amazon Prime, $2.99, something like that, yeah, it's worth a couple of bucks. 4 is going to be really good or good. And 5 is kind of a must-own thing. Like it's an essential part of any film watcher's collection. You got to have it. So, for instance, a 5 for me would be something like Braveheart. And I know Steven wouldn't put that in a 5 category, but you know, it is what it is.
For me, a 5 would be something like Fight Club. I think everybody should own that movie.
I see. There we can agree on that one. Fight Club is definitely a 5.
That's kind of going to be the most interesting part of this, is that we kind of agree on a lot of movies, but the ones that we disagree about, we kind of really disagree about, like passionately. Those are the conversations I'm looking forward to having.
Well, look, it is what it is. That's what makes this a horse race, is that we don't all get along. We don't have the same. Like I know you were talking about how you are so in love with Crazy Rich Asians, and I was like, yeah, it's fucking terrible. So
never seen that movie.
you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's we're not going to have the same opinion. Not never, no way. But yeah, we'll figure it out. So let's talk Collateral.
Okay. You want to start or you want me to start?
No, go ahead.
Because that was a cue for me to start? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
So Collateral came out 15 years ago. Came out in 2004.
That was hard for me to believe.
Yeah, because the thing about this movie, and just a heads up, there are going to be spoilers, major spoilers, obviously. Yeah. We're talking about the movie. But if you haven't seen the movie, this is one of those movies where it really doesn't matter if it's spoiled for you, because it's not like there's any twist ending. There's no crazy ending. There's nothing that doesn't really follow the like basic rules of a movie. There's a bad guy, there's a good guy. The good guy wins, the bad guy loses. That's pretty much what it comes down to. It's more in the execution of how they did it. So spoilers won't really ruin it for you. But anyway, it was filmed in 2004, and it holds up to like today's standards. If you put that movie in, it looks like something that came out this year. Other than like obviously like the cell phones or bricks and shit like that. But
yeah. his iPad looked like a briefcase.
Yeah. And people were actually still using taxis.
Yeah.
But the basic synopsis is Jamie Foxx plays a cab driver and Tom Cruise plays a hitman. And he essentially asks the cab driver to drive him around from spot to spot to conduct business. The cab driver doesn't know he's a hitman. And the first hit goes wrong. And he finds out that he is a hitman. And then it's kind of like Tom Cruise is keeping him against his will, making him drive him to all these different hits.
Yeah. And one of the best lines of the entire movie was in the scene where Jamie Foxx realizes this guy is a hitman. Jamie Foxx looks at him and he goes, "You killed him?" He was like, and Tom Cruise says, "No, the bullets in the fall killed him."
Yeah, no, I shot him. The bullets in the fall killed him. Yeah.
So that's one of the best lines. Obviously, it stars Jamie Foxx. It's got
Tom Cruise.
Jamie Foxx, Tom Cruise are the 1-2 dynamic duo, and then you've got Jada Pinkett Smith is in it. The Mexican guy that nobody ever knows his fucking name, but he's in like all the movies as the Mexican gangster guy.
Mark Ruffalo.
What is it?
Is it Mark Ruffalo? I think Mark Ruffalo is the one that plays the detective.
No, the one that when Jamie Foxx is sitting there and he goes, "What I think you better do is tell that man to get his hand off his gun before I take it and beat him to death with it."
Javier Bardem.
See, the only person that would know his name is on this fucking show. So, I don't know. He to me, he's the stereotypical Mexican gangster guy. But $65 million budget. $65 million budget on this one, and it grossed a double shit ton, $217,663,000. So it was a worldwide huge box office movie. And when Steven said, you should definitely watch Collateral, I was thinking to myself, I've never seen this. He said, well, it's Tom Cruise. I said, well, it doesn't matter. I've still never seen it. Until I started watching it, and then I was like, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
But I had seen it up to the point where the guy lands on the cab, and that was like where I cut it off the previous time I had seen it.
And then also, just to throw this in there, you cut out there for a second, so I'm not sure what you're saying.
Oh, did I?
But, or at least on my end, it may have been my shitty internet. It's also directed by Michael Mann, who also directed Heat, which is another phenomenal movie. And this is kind of the point of contention that me and Heavy have here, is that I would say Collateral is a great movie, whereas he would classify it as a good movie.
Yeah, so I've got it on the 4.5 scale. And the reason I put it on the 4 and not at the 5 is because I spent money on it. Like, I rented it on Amazon Prime. By the way, if you want to watch the movie, it is on Amazon Prime. It's $2.99. So yeah, it was a good movie. It's not one that that I'm like pissed off. First of all, Steven recommended a movie to me not too long ago called
Upgrade.
I was going to say Upload for some reason, but Upgrade. And I went to watch it, and the only way I could watch it was to spend $15 on it. So I was like, all right, dude, if this movie sucks, you're going to refund my money. He was like, no, it's great. And I watched it, and the entire way through the movie, I'm like, God, this is so worth the fucking money. So, and that's another one that I think we need to talk about, because that one kind of flew under the radar. I'd never heard of it, and it was that's a 5-star movie.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
There's two movies that I really want us to discuss. That would be one of them, and then the other would be The Nice Guys, which is that movie I was telling you about. Mm-hmm. It's a black comedy, and it's one of the funniest movies I've seen in years.
That's not racist at all.
No, it's like a dark comedy. There we go.
Going there already.
No, so he says it's a good movie. Now, you brought up an interesting point, because we had a discussion prior to this where you said one of the main problems you had with it was a scene in the movie where essentially, so the first hit, Tom Cruise shoots a guy out of a second-story building, falls out of a window, lands on the roof of the cab. They roll him off of the roof of the cab. He kind of forces Jamie Foxx's character to do it at gunpoint. They put him in the trunk. He takes a bottle of water, cleans off the hood of the cab, and tells him to drive him to the next hit. They get pulled over by a cop, right? And they start looking at the vehicle, and they see blood on the dash or on the hood of the cab. And they're telling him, all right, y'all step out of the vehicle. We're going to check the cab and see what's going on. Pop the trunk where the body of the dead guy's at. And miraculously, the call for that homicide comes in right as they're about to pop the trunk of the cab. And so they just tell him, okay, drive it to the nearest station and drop off your passenger or whatever. And then they head off.
Like, you couldn't see that coming. I paused the movie at that point because I wanted to see how far along I was. It is one of those movies that I kind of lost track of time. So when you get enthralled in the movie, it's kind of a slow build at the beginning up until the point where Tom Cruise gets in the cab. It's kind of a long, drawn out, like he's sitting there macking on Jada Pinkett Smith. And, he's like, oh, well, what's the deal with this? Like, I thought this was an action movie. And then, pow, it comes in, the dude falls. So they're driving off. I paused the movie to see where I'm at. And it's like an hour and 15 minutes left. And I'm like, there's no fucking way that they're fixing to get pulled over, because there's 400 people on the streets in Los Angeles right now at that intersection. There's no way he's going to kill the cops, put them in the trunk, and start killing witnesses this far into the movie. There's still got to be way more storyline past this. And sure as shit, oh, hey, Tom, we got a fucking roll. We got another call. Like, you couldn't see that shit coming. I'm not a fan of shit you can see coming.
But is it because originally you said it was so unbelievable that, like,
yeah,
it
was predictable. But it's so coincidental that it's cliche.
Okay. See, and this is where we disagree. Because I thought about that after we talked about that. And I remembered, I don't know if you remember this, but the guy this was years ago, the guy that raided the White House, like in real life.
Yeah.
He got pulled over that month and had a map to the White House with like an X marked on the White House and like guns and shit in the car. And they sent him on his way. Like, ineptitude during a police stop could happen. It could happen.
I get it.
Right?
But
especially if they get a call that there's a potential homicide and they're the closest unit to respond. It could happen.
Yeah, it could. But the timing, you got to admit, the timing is awfully coincidental.
Yeah, well, movies kind of depend on coincidence sometimes.
Exactly.
Push the plot. But it didn't take me out of the movie.
No, absolutely not. It didn't break. Because I figured at that point, you're going to have this movie take one or two directions. You're either going to have this movie haul ass from this point on with just car chase, shoot 'em up, hide out, fucking, kill everybody in sight, or you're going to have the coincidental thing happen that, you couldn't see that coming a mile away. That's going to happen, and they're going to carry on with a mild-mannered story. I almost wish it had taken the other, super wild, shoot 'em up, car chase kind of angle, because I'd been watching the Mission Impossible series right before that, and that was kind of...
Which those are fives.
Yeah, I would say 3, 4, and 5. 3, 4, and 5 were fives. Fallout is like a 9 because it's quite possibly the best action movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but let's not get sidetracked.
Yeah,
it's so hard not to, because it's so hard to talk about a movie without bringing up other movies to like compare.
Yeah,
but we'll be here all night. So after that, right, that scene happens, and then they go to the next hit, which is the one where Tom Cruise zip ties him to the cab, the steering wheel, goes up to conduct his business. And Jamie Foxx, this is another thing I kind of liked about the movie, is he wasn't just like a dumb character. Like he puts on the flashers, he tries getting attention to the cab so that maybe somebody will come by and see what's going on and help him. But of course it backfires and a bunch of gangsters.
The fucking dipshit goes, "Give me your wallet." Motherfucker, my hands are tied to the goddamn steering wheel.
Yeah, so a couple gangsters show up, pull a gun on him, take everything, and they take Tom Cruise's briefcase, which has all of the workups for the hits that he's going out through the city committing.
Which turns out to be quite possibly the worst thing they ever could have done.
And that's my favorite line of dialogue in the movie, when Tom Cruise walks out and says, "Hey, homie, is that my briefcase?" There's something about a fucking Tom Cruise with gray hair saying, "Hey, homie."
Yeah, and you know what? That was another thing that I struggled to kind of hang on to. Is like, this is Tom Cruise. This is like 15 years ago Tom Cruise. This is not salt and pepper 65-year-old fucking investment banker from Newark, New Jersey Tom Cruise. This is fucking Tom Cruise in his prime.
Yeah.
Why is he wearing salt and pepper hair? Why can't he just be Tom Cruise in his prime running around killing motherfuckers?
I don't know why they went with the gray hair.
Honestly. It was not a good look, that's for sure.
But with that said, he totally pulls off being a bad guy.
Absolutely.
Like 100%. That's the only role I've ever seen him play a legitimate bad guy. And he fucking pulls it off.
OMG language, Jeffrey?
What?
What are you talking about? Wait, we can't swear? I don't know. Yeah, we can swear. We can say whatever we want to. It's in the movie.
Yeah, we're just quoting.
Yeah.
So that happens.
They couldn't swear. Okay. Got it.
And then it gets to probably the best scene in the movie. Probably one of the best scenes of any movie, which is where they go to the jazz club.
I would say that was one of the most unmistakably awesome moments of that movie. That was the quintessential scene for that movie.
Yeah.
It was cerebral, it was calculated, it was everything Tom Cruise's character was trying to portray, is this calm, calculated, just blatantly disrespectful, smile in your face, shoot you in the back of the head character. And that was literally the quintessential scene of the movie to me.
Yep. And I watched it today. I know you watched it yesterday. I watched it today. I watched it like 2 hours ago. But after he shoots him, it like he shows like legitimate regret. And it's the only time in the entire film that he does that. So, because essentially what happens is it's the guy that's the third hit is a jazz musician at this club that they go to. And he's like a really good jazz musician. And Tom Cruise, like his character really appreciates the art or whatever of it. And so he tells the waitress to bring him over to their table after he gets done playing his set. He wants to buy him a drink. So that's kind of how he gets him, to where he can kill him, And he brings him over there and they start talking, and it kind of like fast forwards and they're just talking about music and shit. And it finally gets to the point where the club kind of empties out and he tells him, look, I'm here to kill you. And Jamie Foxx's character is like, well, come on, man, let's play some jazz. Let's improvise. You like the way he plays. There's no reason to fucking kill him, but he could just let him leave. And so he asks him a jazz question. And if he gets the question right, if he gets the answer right, he's going to let him go. And he gets it wrong. He shoots him in the head. And then that's like the one point in the movie where after killing somebody, Tom Cruise's character like takes a second. And you can see that he fucking regrets it. and that's like one of the things that really interests me about the movie is that he's a bad guy. Obviously, he does bad shit, but he also has like a moral compass to some degree.
He kills indiscriminately, and it's like he sat there and he talked to this dude, and he got to know him. That's why I think that scene is so important, is because for the first time in the movie, he talked to the person that he was that he was gonna murder.
Yeah.
Other than Jamie Foxx, the plan all along was to have him drive him around, kill all these people, leave him shot to death in his cab with a gun and all the briefcase and all the shit that was inside of it. That was the original intent of the movie.
But and I think he wasn't, like, I honestly think that if he would have got the question right, I think he would have let the dude go. And that's another part where we disagree. You think he probably would have shot him anyway?
Yeah, I think he was dead anyways. Because now think about this, right? Let's go through to the towards the end, and I'll bring it back up.
Okay.
So after that,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so after that, it's the fourth hit, which I'm kind of fuzzy on the timeline. I don't want to fuck this up. He goes. Is that where he takes him to see his mom?
Yes.
I want to say they have to go visit his mom.
After the jazz musician, they go to visit his sick mother. They never really say what she has. I think it's cancer or something.
Jamie Foxx's mother. So Jamie Foxx's character visits his mom every night at the hospital, and the owner of the cab company or whatever calls him over the radio and says, "Hey, your mom's been calling me all night. Where are you at? Why didn't you show up?" And so Tom Cruise says, "Well, what's going on?" And he tells him, he says, "Well, we have to go because otherwise it breaks tradition. And then people start looking for you, start looking for the cab." So they find him. So Jamie Foxx says, "I ain't taking you to see my mom." Tom Cruise says, "Since when has any of this been negotiable?" And they go to the hospital. They visit his mom, and Tom Cruise puts his best foot forward, is all charming and stuff. While he's talking with Jamie Foxx's mom, Jamie Foxx grabs his briefcase and goes to leave the hospital, goes to run out of the hospital. Tom Cruise chases him. Jamie Foxx throws his briefcase with all of his work over a fucking bridge, or like an overpass. So all that shit gets destroyed. That leads to Tom Cruise forcing Jamie Foxx's character to go to the main bad guy that hired him, which is the Javier Bardem's character, to go to him to get another copy of the list.
Yeah, which is another point of contention between Steven and I last night. But I think he kind of understood the terminology that he was using versus the terminology I was using, and I think I may have won that one because Steven was saying his character. Oh, Jesus, I'm gonna die. His character was scary, and I didn't think he was scary. He was intimidating as fuck.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I don't think he was scary. Like, he didn't look like, he wasn't Thor. He wasn't 7'3", 600 pounds. He wasn't this big giant human being. He was just a regular dude that would look across the table and shoot you in your fucking eyeball.
Yeah.
So that to me is more intimidating than it is scary.
Yeah, I misspoke when I said scary. It's a very intimidating character, and that scene it's another great scene because Jamie Foxx goes in and he's very intimidated by this character, and by the end of it, he's essentially having to pretend that he's Tom Cruise's character, right? And so by the end of it, he kind of personifies that type of character by the end of that scene, and kind of turns it around and acts like he is this fucking badass hitman assassin, and gets the list. And then they go to the fourth hit, which is at a club. Now, by this time, the police officers that have been working on the case, Mark Ruffalo's character plays a detective.
No, we skipped one. It was the dude in the penthouse.
Oh, you're right. Well, that's the second. That's the second hit where. Remember, that's the second hit where when he comes back down.
Yeah. That was the character where they had the altercation with the guys who stole Tom Cruise's
briefcase.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then the third is the jazz musician. The fourth is the guy at the club, which they start going to the club, and by this time, Mark Ruffalo's character is the lead detective, and they've started piecing together that these are hits going on, and they're all connected to they're all witnesses for like a major case against Javier Bardem's character. And so they're essentially, he's been paid off to kill off the witnesses, and they're starting to figure out that the witnesses are dropping like flies. So the police send officers to the club where the fourth witness is at the same time that Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx are arriving there to carry out the hit. Tom Cruise goes in there, and the cops fuck up because they think that Jamie Foxx's character is the actual
is Tom Cruise.
Right. And so Tom Cruise kind of uses that to the advantage, and he waits for them to start shooting at him. That way he knows who's who, and he starts kind of picking everybody apart. And there's a huge shootout in the club, and he ends up killing the lead detective. He ends up shooting one of the cops, and then he ends up killing the witness.
Well, right before that, the lead detective grabs Jamie Foxx and he says, "Look, I'm not the dude you're looking for. I'm not Vincent. And he's like, "I believe you. I know."
That's right.
So he already knew. There was already some sort of like foreknowledge going on. But he said something at the scene of the original hit that kind of puts the doubt that he has into the back of your head throughout the rest of the movie, and that is, and it kind of sets the stage for where the movie's supposed to be going, and where the plot kind of deviates a little bit, is he says to one of the other detectives, he says, there was a case down in San Francisco a couple of years ago, and 5 people murdered, and cab driver found with the gun, and the lead detective on that case always thought there was somebody else in that cab. Yeah, so turns out there's a pattern here, and obviously the pattern works, otherwise he wouldn't be doing it again.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. So, but the thing is the lead detective, Mark Ruffalo, had pieced that together, but the other cops thought that Jamie Foxx was the hitman. Right, because they thought that, if you remember, Mark Ruffalo tells him this guy's been a cab driver for 10 years, and he goes into a phone booth and changes into a super secret assassin.
Exactly.
And he said, well, no, the real guy, he just picked a cab driver that looks like him. Right. So he still thought that Max, or Jamie Foxx's character, was the hitman. So that's why they go into that club still going to get him, and Mark Ruffalo tries to go in there to get him out. And he actually manages to get him out of the club.
And then gets killed in the process.
Yeah, as soon as they step out of the door of the club, Tom Cruise is waiting by the cab. He sees the detective, and he shoots him and kills him.
So then, the fifth and final hit that's supposed to take place is Jada Pinkett Smith. By the way, am I the only one that caught the cameo at the very opening scene of that movie?
Jason Statham
dropping off the fucking briefcase.
That's how you know you've got a good action movie, when he just plays a fucking cameo.
Yeah, when he's just like literally walks in, bumps into a dude, drops a briefcase, picks up his, and goes on. Like he had one line, and "Are you all right, mate?" That's it.
Yeah.
That was his whole thing in the movie. But fifth and final hit goes to Jada Smith, and Max gets, which is Jamie Foxx's character. Max gets to her, gets her on the phone, and says, "Hey, there's a dude coming up there to fucking kill you."
Yeah, we kind of missed a little bit. We should have probably talked about the fact that Jamie Foxx's character and Jada Pinkett Smith, they kind of hit it off at the very beginning of the movie.
Well, that's what I said. That's what I said. The slow build up, like they had. She took him. He took her for a cab ride, and they got to talking and kind of bullshitting and this, that, and the other.
They hit it off, and she gave him her business card, which was just essentially like, he scored her digits, and she was interested. And so, bam. Now what happens? And we forgot to see. We're not good at this, man. We forgot the part. We forgot the part that after the fourth hit, Jamie Foxx's character is fucking pissed that Tom Cruise killed that detective, right? So he crashes the cab.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In an attempt to.
Yeah, because Tom Cruise's whole thing in this movie, his character is like, he keeps on spouting this philosophical mumbo jumbo, like, oh, look, it's just Darwinism, like adapt and overcome, survival of the fittest, I Ching, all this shit, just go with it. And Jamie Foxx kind of starts spitting it back in his face, and he's like, oh, if all we are is a speck on a fucking planet, then none of this fucking matters. And he starts putting the pedal to the metal, and the cab kind of speeds out of control, and he runs it into a barricade, flips the cab over, crashes it. Tom Cruise gets out of the cab, Jamie Foxx gets out of the cab, and at that time, a police officer shows up and he's like, "Are you okay? You've been in an accident?" Jamie Foxx is like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Well, the cop starts looking at the cab, and the dead body is still in the trunk from the first hit. And so he immediately turns around, pulls his gun, and tells Jamie Foxx's character, "Put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest." And he's going to go with it. He's like, "Yeah, absolutely. Take me to jail. Get me the fuck out of here." And then as he's on his knees, putting his hands behind his back, he looks into the cab, and it just so happens, another one of those cliches, he can see the face on the computer of the fifth hit, and it happens to be Jada Pinkett Smith's character. So he strong arms the officer somehow, flips him over his head.
Miraculously.
And is able to find Tom Cruise's gun and pulls it on him and tells him to cuff himself to the car, and he tells him the address he's going to, because he's going to go try to stop that hit from happening. So we missed a little bit there.
Only a little bit.
Oops.
Mostly unimportant stuff.
Yeah, just the bullshit romance aspect of it.
Yeah, just like half of the plot. No big deal.
Probably. The main build up to the final, climactic scene. No big deal. Yeah. But then, so from there they go to the fifth hit, and that's where you were talking about. He called up Jada's character and said, "Hey, there's a guy coming there to kill you."
Yeah. And she's like, "Well, how did he get in the building?" It doesn't matter how he got in the fucking building. And she kind of pissed me off, because if somebody calls you and says, "Hey, remember me from 3 fucking hours ago?" Yeah, now there's somebody trying to kill you. Right? I'm not going to ask all the stupid fucking questions. I'm just going to be like, "Okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to unfuck this situation?" Well, first of all, get out of the building. Try that out for size.
Well,
seems easy enough.
That scene is kind of, I don't know, it played kind of weird, because he calls her and says, "Hey, there's a guy coming there to kill you." And her first thing she says is, "This is a strange time to be calling." What the fuck?
Max,
that's not the thing.
It's 4:00 in the morning. This is a strange time to be calling somebody.
Yeah,
I know, but there's somebody trying to kill you.
Yeah, is this a joke? What kind of joke is that? Yeah. I didn't really like that scene. It's probably my least. Well, actually, there's another scene that I don't like even more than that, and that comes later.
Oh yeah, me too.
But no, the ending I think is great. It's right.
Well, you're wrong.
But so he calls her and warns her, and Tom Cruise has made it up to her office, and she's luckily in the library 2 floors down. I think it was 2 floors, it might have been 3. I don't remember. But and he looks up and he can see him through the window, and so he tells her, "Look, just stay there in the library. He doesn't know you're there." Well, at that time, he sees on her office phone that it's being redirected to the library, and it shows which floor it's on. So he starts going
conveniently
down. And then on top of that convenience, Jamie Foxx's cell phone that he stole off of some random dude at gunpoint.
Yeah, hold on.
The battery dies.
For it. Shocker. The battery dies. Yeah. Right when he's trying to say, "Hey, he's coming for you."
Yeah.
The battery dies. And look, what year was this set in? Because cell phones never I've had cell phones since they first came out. That makes me feel old as fuck. But Yeah, I never had it go staticky and then die.
Dude, it's a movie thing.
Never once did a phone go. Oh, it's a low battery. Damn it! It's not putting out. No, it just dies. It stops.
Well, it's just a movie thing, man.
It was ridiculous.
But that scene, I didn't like all the conveniences that happened and the way
Yeah.
she handled it.
So let me ask you this: going back to your rating, you gave it a 5. You gave it a 5. Yet you have 3 things that you've already voiced opinion on that were cliche, that were I didn't really like this. 3 things. That one of them's upcoming. One's still to come. So we'll see what that one is. But this is why I gave it a 4. This is why I gave it a 4.
It's still a 5.
It's not a 5. If you can pick it apart, it's a 5.
I'll plead my case at the end.
Okay.
And then I'll explain to you why you're wrong.
Sounds like I got a pretty good argument going on here.
So, after that, he makes his way down to the library to kill her. He gets down there, and as soon as he pulls the gun on her, Max has made his way up to the library, and he has a gun, still has Tom Cruise's gun from earlier when he used it against the cop. And he pulls the gun on Tom Cruise and says, "You're not going to kill her, don't kill her." He says, "What are you going to do about it?" And he shoots him in the ear.
In the ear.
And then grabs her, and they run off. Tom Cruise isn't dead, so he starts chasing after him, shooting at him, all this shit.
So Paul's right there. Paul's right there.
Okay.
I know you're coming to do harm to somebody. I have a handgun, and I choose to shoot you. You fall to the ground. Why do you assume that you killed him? Why not? What is so wrong with going over there, put 2 in his dome, movie over?
He didn't want to kill him.
He already shot him once.
He didn't want to kill him.
He was aiming at his head. That's why he shot him in the ear.
That dude's never fired a gun in his life. He didn't know what he was aiming at.
Look, but you don't have to aim when you go over to do the double tap to finish the dude off. He's got the U.S. attorney standing right here watching.
He did not want him. He did not want to kill him. And that's at the end of the movie.
That's absurd. That's
he
absurd.
Did not want to kill him.
You always go back for the double tap. Make sure they're dead. You take a shot at the king, you better kill him.
They developed some sort of fucked up friendship camaraderie.
It's Stockholm syndrome is what it is.
I don't think
fucking mainline and delusion, man.
No.
But it's absolutely Stockholm syndrome.
We'll get to it. Now, from there is where I have a problem with the movie. And this is probably my main gripe with the movie.
So here we go. You're working on knocking that whole star off.
It's a cliche that always happens in these type of movies where Jamie Foxx's character and Jada Pinkett Smith, they're running and they're about to run out to the main street. And instead, for some fucking reason, they decide to run the completely opposite way downstairs to where the subways are at. And somehow, Tom Cruise makes it downstairs after they're already out of frame and starts running towards the street and then decides to double back and run the opposite way again for no apparent fucking reason. I hate when that happens in a movie. Drives me nuts. The omniscient fucking antagonist that somehow miraculously knows where the other people went, and it's never explained.
Dude, that's literally minus half a star in and of itself.
No, because you didn't even notice it. You didn't even notice it.
Dude, when they go downstairs and the guy's like, "There's the road. No, let's go this way."
Yeah.
He literally says it to her, and she goes, first of all, he took directions from a woman. That's where he fucked up.
Exactly, 100%.
He should have just been like, you know what? Fuck you. You're on your own. I'm going out here. Look, honestly, you don't want to listen. You don't want to listen to the cab driver on how to get out of a jam. Fuck you. You're on your own.
I won't say what I was going to say. But
okay, that's probably a good thing that you didn't.
Yeah, no, I'm censoring myself. That's one of the things that really drives me nuts in those type of movies, and it happens in a lot of movies. Once you see it in one, like you see it in so many of them, it's like, why? How the fuck did you know they were there? he went and ran the opposite way that common sense would dictate, so that if when he was chasing him, he would go the opposite way. That was the whole point of that, and yet somehow he just fucking miraculously knew to double back and run the opposite way. I'm not a fan of that in movies. But anyway, they're both downstairs towards the subway, and then it happens again where they crawl into a subway and he can't see them, and there's two subways, and again miraculously he just knows which subway to latch on to which one they're going. Like,
well, to be fair, he had a 50-50 shot.
It was a 50-50 shot, and he got it right.
I mean, look, a coin flip will land on heads 50% of the time. So I can't ding it for that, but the running in the opposite direction, I can ding it for that. The ending of the movie, which is what we'll get to now. So the end of the movie sees Tom Cruise's character at the ass end of a train, busting through doors. Stereotypical movie, bad guy is walking through the train to find the people he's looking for, and they're hiding towards the front of the train. And they go to get out, and Tom Cruise is standing there with the gun pointed, ready to fire as soon as they step out, and they don't step out. So it closes up. They're off to the next stop. He comes barreling through again. And Jamie Foxx decides, for the first time in the movie, to take the rest of the day off from being a bitch and steps out and starts shooting at him. Just boom, 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 boom. Here's what I want to know. You got two pieces of glass and a large piece of metal in the middle. You got to assume there's two doors. So there's two pieces of metal, 4 pieces of glass. Why would you stand in the middle and shoot the metal when you could just go, hey, boom, 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 gotcha, guy? Right? He did hit him. He shot around. He did hit him. What was he doing? He was doing the thing like this where it was making the bullet curve?
Yeah, he curved the bullet.
Yeah. So
no, he emptied the clip and he went all the way around. And Tom Cruise did the same shit. And it went dark, pitch black when that happened.
Yeah, of course. Well, the car hit some kind of little electrical thing and all the lights went out. I've been on the subway several times in a couple of different cities. I've never had the power go out.
Well, speaking of that, we did have somebody in chat say that the Nokia phones did do static when they had a low battery. So you have to revert on that one. And I think it was a Nokia phone.
Yeah, okay, well, whatever. It was still the stereotypical thing that's supposed to happen in a movie. Yeah. So Tom Cruise gets hit. He goes to reload because he realizes Jamie Foxx is out of bullets. I got another mag. He pulls out his mag and drops it. And that's where he realized he made a mistake. For the first time in the movie, he made a mistake. And the first time probably in his life he had made a mistake. So he drops the mag. He leans over and sits down and kind of opens his jacket up and he sees he's hit. And I guess he just, at that point, he decided to give up, right? And he starts spouting this philosophical shit again to Jamie Foxx's character, who again didn't go for the kill. He didn't go for the double tap. Like, the dude's already dying, pop him in the dome, get off at the next exit. Like, that's the way it should have worked. But he's sitting there talking, and he dies on the subway after saying, hey, Max, you remember the guy that died on the subway and rode around for 6 hours before anybody discovered him?
Yeah.
And that was it. That was lights out. So, some really dumb shit for a man's last words. But then Jamie Foxx and Jada Smith get off the train, and they walk out and look into the sun rising in the east, and roll credits. Fucking bullshit.
Hold on, you missed a very important part.
I think I gave a pretty good synopsis of what happened.
You missed the part in the ending. There's a part where after Tom Cruise is shot, he sits down and Jamie Foxx says, we're almost at the next stop. we can get you help. That's why he didn't double tap him. He didn't want to kill the motherfucker. He just didn't want him to kill her. That's why there's no double tap. That's not.
It's like he took 15 seconds of his life to not be a bitch, and then immediately went right back to it. Like, why? Why? This man has given you nothing but reasons to off his ass the entire movie. The entire movie that probably covers a span of what, 12 hours in real time? Somewhere around there? Yeah. For 12 hours, this guy has been terrorizing the city, murdering people for no reason. And all of a sudden, you have a case of your conscience is too good to double tap a motherfucker that just shot at you? Get out of here. Get out of here.
He did give him one reason. He saved his life in the club because one of the gangsters was about to shoot Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise shot him.
Why? Okay.
They saved his life.
It doesn't negate the fact that the original intent in the original plan was to kill Jamie Foxx any fucking ways.
See, it sounds like you hate this movie.
No, it's just certain things piss me off. It was fun to watch, right? So here's where I think we'll dive into the synopsis, right? I think personally it was a fun movie to watch. It was engaging. It got it pulled a couple of emotional strings, but on the flip side, it was very stereotypical and it was very easy to read for somebody who watches action movies or thriller movies or anything in that kind of vein. You know where the story's going. There are no, this isn't an M. Night Shyamalan. It's not taking a fucking turn and like, oh shit, they're not hiding in this isn't 1827. It's 2011. These people are just scared of guys with hog heads on them in the woods. There's no big revelation to it. Like, what's going to happen throughout the movie. But it's still engaging. It's still fun to watch. The storyline works very well. However, it's a good movie. I don't think it's great. I think it's a good movie.
And here's where we disagree. It's a paint by the numbers thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But with that being said, it does it as good as the best of them. Name one thriller that is in that same category of movie that does it better.
7.
They're not anything alike.
Dude, 7 and Collateral are, they're in the same vein. Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No, disagree. But so you would say 7 does
8 millimeter
better.
8 millimeter.
Collateral is a better movie than 8 millimeter.
Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely.
Okay. So name a movie that is in the same vein as Collateral
that does it just as
better.
good.
No, better. Because for it to be a 5, it has to do it the best.
Okay, Born Supremacy.
Born Supremacy is trash. Born Ultimatum is pretty good.
Born Ultimatum. Born Identity. Mission Impossible 3 through 6. Mission Impossible through Mission Impossible Fallout. Argue it. Tell me how Collateral is better than Fallout. Please.
It's not, but it's a different type of movie. And that's the point.
How is it a different type of movie? They're fucking action movies.
No, they're not action. Mission Impossible is fucking action set pieces, fucking hundreds of people dying.
Last Action Hero.
Fucking end of the world stakes.
Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero. Hunt for Red October.
No, I don't think any of them do it better than Collateral, dude.
Dude.
That's why Collateral's a 5. Does it have problems? Absolutely. Is it objectively?
If it has problems, it can't be a 5. A 5 is perfection.
Hold on. Is it objectively a 5? Maybe not. Subjectively, absolutely it's a 5. I think you should fucking own it. I think if you don't own it, you need to go buy it. And like I said previously, the fact that we spoiled the movie means nothing because it's so by the numbers. There's a good guy, there's a bad guy. The good guy wins, the bad guy loses. It's the execution of the way that they did it.
Oh, like, here you go. Here you go. Face Off did it better.
You suck my balls. Face Off did it better. Face Off is a terrible movie.
You are on crack cocaine, sir.
No, that movie is awful.
Dude, you need to take yourself down off of your high horse. Admit that you took an L on this one, that I'm right.
Yes, Charlie. Objectively, it's not a 5, but we're going to call it a 5. It's a 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's like saying, oh, this car, it's a race car, but it only does 65 miles an hour. But it's a really good race car if you're only doing 65.
Well, no. Like, obviously, there are movies that are 5s that I don't enjoy. Like, that I don't want to watch again. Like,
such as?
Well, I didn't expect to be put on the spot like that. Lincoln.
You put me on the spot like that, saying name a movie that did it better.
Lincoln.
Okay.
That movie is a 5. The acting is phenomenal. Cinematography is great. They got the time period right. It's not necessarily historically accurate, but it's a good movie. It's a 5. Do I ever want to watch it again? No.
You know, it's funny you bring that up because I almost watched that the other night.
Really?
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing. Like, there's objective and subjective. Like, objectively, okay, maybe it's not a 5. But for me, like, subjectively, I can't think of a movie that's in that vein that does it better or that I enjoy more. Like, I know how it's going to end, and I knew how it was going to end before I started watching it, but I enjoyed the whole story. And none of the problems that we've pointed out take you out of the movie.
No, absolutely not.
Especially on a first viewing.
And I concede that. Like, I watched it with the realization that you haven't steered me wrong on a movie yet. You haven't given me a recommendation that was trash, right, yet. So I figured, why not? Let's go with it. Let's run it.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's not great. It's a good movie. Will I watch it again? Maybe.
I think where I fucked up was having you watch Mission Impossible before Collateral.
It did set some unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. I think if you had watched Collateral first, you would have enjoyed it a lot more.
I don't know, man. I just call me crazy. I'm a little bit more impressed by movies that you can't get a read on. Like, for instance, Fallout. I knew what was going to happen because obviously they're not going to let nuclear warheads go off throughout the goddamn world, obviously. So you know that Ethan Hunt is going to get that fucking detonator switch. However, they have done crazy shit in the past that was not supposed to happen. Like, I don't know, murdering Philip Seymour Hoffman. That wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. So, like, all roads led to he's not going to get killed. And then, yeah, he's dead. So, I don't know. You knew he was going to, but when you got Ving Rhames sitting there about to cut wires and everything goes black, you're like, fuck, they did it.
You want to know a major plot hole in that movie that'll ruin it for you?
Sure.
All right. So when he's flying away with the detonator in that fucking helicopter and Tom Cruise is chasing him, and they're flying over an ocean, why didn't you just fucking throw the detonator out of the helicopter?
I didn't think they were flying over an ocean. I thought it was like a mountain lake.
No, I mean, regardless, there was a body of water. Mm-hmm. Throw it into the fucking body of water.
Well, because...
And he had like 2 minutes. Is he going to be able to land a helicopter, get out of the helicopter, swim into the fucking lake, deep dive, and find it in 2 minutes?
Yeah,
or just keep on doing fucking circles until it has 30 seconds left and then drop it.
We are talking about Ethan Hunt here, who would like literally just dive bomb the fucking helicopter in there, jump out before it hits.
That is true.
You know, so I mean, crazier shit has happened.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, look, like I said, Collateral, it's a good movie. It's a solid movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go out and watch it. But I also highly recommend you go out and watch other movies that Steven thinks are fucking trash. So that's the beauty of what we're doing here tonight with this grandiose plan we got.
At the end of the day, we both recommend it.
Oh, absolutely. All day long.
Even though we totally spoiled it, and there's going to be absolutely no surprise, you should still watch it.
Absolutely.
Because it will not take away from the experience. You just got to block out our voices when we point out all the problems.
Yeah. So, what we are going to do, that brings us to the end of this episode. But what we are going to do is, since the Christmas holiday season starts on Monday, right, next week, we're going to do a Christmas spectacular here on the channel. For the next 4 weeks, we're going to do Christmas movies, starting with the best Christmas movie ever made, Die Hard.
Absolutely.
So what we need from you guys to do is down there in the comment section, we need you to type out 3 of your favorite Christmas movies. And what we are going to do is next week on the show, same bat time, same bat channel, we are going to take the 3 most popular voted on or 3 most popular movies. We're going to put them on a straw poll, and then we're going to pull one out of there, and you guys will get to vote on what we watch the following week. We'll take the other 2, then you can vote on those after that. So Die Hard is next week. The best part about this is we're announcing now what we're watching next week. So Sunday Fun Day, right? What I may do, and what Steven, what we may do, is do a live watch party, maybe on Facebook, maybe on Instagram, maybe on something. Who the hell knows? But we'll do something live where we're actively watching the movie. It'll probably be better on Facebook or Instagram because you won't get hit with those copyright shit like you would on YouTube. But we're going to watch it. We may stream for a minute or 2 or 10 or half an hour or the whole movie. Who knows? Doing some interaction with you guys. But next week, Die Hard. We're going to make it happen. So Sunday Fun Day. Everybody kick it out. And yeah.
That works. Yeah. If you haven't seen Die Hard already, I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're going to be spoiling anything for anybody born before maybe 2017. You know, I wouldn't expect 3-year-olds to have watched Die Hard, but like, if you have hair on your face, well. Thanks for hanging out. We love you all. We will see you next time. Remember, comment 3 Christmas.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm a baby back bitch.
Are there any? Oh, dude. Are you seriously scared of scary movies?
Dude, I don't like them.
Get the fuck out.
I like some of them, but I mean, I don't like being scared.
Wow.
I live alone. My house makes weird noises at night. I don't like it.
Well, looks like January is going to be January is actually my birth month, so we may do a horror genre month for the whole month.
Awesome. Can't fucking wait.
But that's what we got. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week. Love, pizza, chicken grease.